Today's video is brought to you by your pillow, because we're talking sleep. What is it? Why do we need it? And what happens when we don't get enough of it? We'll even tackle what psychologists think is going on when we dream. Like, why did I dream last night of giant talking cats working at a coffee shop? This is topic 1.5 of Unit 1 in AP Psychology, all about sleep and dreams. So if you're ready, grab your notes, fire up those neurons, let's jump in. One of the biggest myths about sleep is that your brain shuts off, like flipping a light switch. But in reality, your brain stays busy, even while you're snoring away and completely ignoring the thunderstorm outside your window. In fact, some parts of your brain become even more active during sleep. That's why psychologists view sleep as just one state of consciousness, not a shutdown, but a shift. Consciousness is more like a continuum, a sliding scale of awareness from fully alert to totally out of it. The spectrum includes fully alert wakefulness, hopefully that's you right now, drowsiness, deep sleep, REM sleep, aka dreamland, and even altered states like lucid dreaming, anesthesia, and a coma. So yeah, consciousness isn't all or nothing. It's a spectrum, and sleep takes up a big part of it. But that brings us to a bigger question. Why do we sleep at all? Why do we spend almost a third of our lives drooling on a pillow and dreaming about algebra we haven't used in years? Psychologists have two main theories: memory consolidation and restoration theory. Memory consolidation says that sleep helps your brain organize, process, and store everything you took in during the day. So while you're knocked out, your brain is hard at work, sorting through new information from the day and deciding what to keep, what to toss, and what to file under "you might use this later." This happens mostly during REM sleep, which is why a good night's sleep after studying can actually help you remember more. That's why sleeping on it isn't just a phrase, it's science. Restoration theory focuses on the idea that sleep is the time when your body and brain do repairs and maintenance. You've been burning energy, stressing out, and basically doing all the things that wear you down. Sleep gives your body time to rebuild, recharge, and recover, physically and mentally. And while memory consolidation and restoration theory help explain why we sleep, they don't explain how your body knows when it's time to sleep. Like, what actually triggers your brain to say, all right, time to shut down for the night? Psychologists call the period of falling asleep and waking up the sleep-wake cycle. It's a full 24-hour loop, and it's governed by your circadian rhythm, your body's built-in clock that regulates when you feel alert and when you're ready to crash. Your circadian rhythm is regulated by both internal cues like hormones, shout out to melatonin, and brain structures like the thalamus, and external cues like light and dark signals. So when the sun sets and it gets darker, your brain gets the signal: hey, it's time to start producing melatonin and wind things down. And in the morning, bright light tells your brain to dial down melatonin production, helping you wake up and feel alert. Yet, even with all the built-in mechanisms keeping your sleep-wake cycle on track, your body's internal clock is weirdly sensitive. Stay up too late binge-watching Netflix, fly across time zones and get slammed with jet lag, or switch to working the night shift, and suddenly your whole internal clock is out of sync. All right, let's return to the act of sleep itself. Scientists have discovered that sleep isn't just one big chunk of unconsciousness, it's a cycle made up of different stages. And we can actually measure those stages using something called an EEG, short for electroencephalogram, which records your brain's electrical activity while you sleep. Thanks to EEGs, we know there are two main types of sleep: non-rapid eye movement sleep, or non-REM sleep, and rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep. Non-REM sleep happens in stages 1 through 3. Stage 1, the lightest sleep. You're drifting off, your brain is slowing down, and you might experience hypnagogic sensations, like feeling like you're falling, then suddenly jerking awake. We've all had that moment in class, you know who you are. Stage 2, your body temperature drops, your heart rate slows. And stage 3, this is deep sleep, also called slow wave sleep. Your brain is producing big, slow delta waves. This is when the body gets its big physical rest. As the night progresses, non-REM sleep decreases and REM sleep increases. REM sleep is where things get paradoxical. It's called paradoxical sleep because your brain waves look almost identical to when you're awake, but your body's basically paralyzed. This is the stage when most dreaming occurs. Your eyes dart around rapidly, hence the name REM, rapid eye movement. Your brain is highly active, and you're most likely dreaming about flying tacos. REM sleep plays a key role in memory consolidation, emotional processing, and learning. which means your brain is getting stuff done while your body stays still. And since REM sleep is the stage where most dreaming happens, that brings us to the next big question. Why do we dream? Why do we dream about flying, falling, or teeth falling out? Psychologists have a few theories about why we dream at all. One of them is the activation synthesis theory, which says dreams are basically your brain's way of making sense of random neural activity. During REM sleep, your brainstem sends out bursts of electrical signals, totally spontaneous and chaotic. Your cortex, the thinking, interpreting part of your brain, tries to weave those signals into a story. So in short, dreams don't necessarily have deep meaning. Your brain is just connecting the dots on a bunch of random neural noise. The second theory, consolidation theory, is more practical. It suggests that dreams help your brain organize and store important information from the day. You take in tons of information while you're awake. Facts, emotions, memories, that song you can't get out of your head. And when you sleep, your brain files it all away. Dreaming, according to this theory, is kind of like your brain figuring out what to keep, what to dump, and what to tag with a sticky note that says, "Remember this before the quiz." Now, as amazing and essential as sleep is, and as entertaining as dreams can be, things don't always go according to plan. Sometimes sleep hits a few glitches, and that's when we enter the world of sleep disorders. Many disorders can interrupt healthy sleep, and when they do, the effects don't stop when your head lifts off the pillow. Poor sleep can mess with your mood, focus, memory, and even your immune system. In AP Psychology, there are a few major sleep disorders you need to know: insomnia, narcolepsy, sleep apnea, REM sleep behavior disorder, and somnambulism, aka sleepwalking. Let's start with insomnia, the most common sleep disorder. It's when you have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up too early and not being able to fall back asleep, even when you're exhausted. Your body says, "I'm tired," but your brain's like, "Cool, time to relive every awkward moment from 7th grade. Then there's narcolepsy. It's a rare neurological disorder where people experience sudden and uncontrollable sleep attacks, often straight into REM sleep. Imagine laughing at a joke and suddenly, boom, you're asleep at your desk. Some people with narcolepsy also experience cataplexy, which is a sudden loss of muscle control triggered by strong emotions, like laughter, anger, or excitement. Sleep apnea causes you to stop breathing temporarily during sleep, often due to blocked airways. The person wakes up briefly, without fully realizing it, to start breathing again, which can happen hundreds of times a night. What are the signs? Loud snoring, gasping, and waking up tired no matter how many hours you slept. Sleep apnea is also linked to serious health issues, like heart disease, high blood pressure. Normally during REM sleep, your brain puts your muscles into temporary paralysis, a safety feature so you don't physically act out your dreams. But in REM sleep behavior disorder, that switch malfunctions. As a result, people may actually move, talk, punch, or kick during REM sleep, acting out their dreams in real life. And lastly, there's somnambulism, a fancy sciencey word for sleepwalking. This one happens during non-REM stage 3 deep sleep. People may walk around, eat, rearrange furniture, or even leave the house, all while completely asleep. All right, let's lock in with a quick recap. Sleep isn't just rest, it's an active, essential part of your brain and body's daily rhythm. Tattoo this on your psych brain. Consciousness exists on a spectrum, and sleep is just one state along that continuum. We sleep to restore the body and to consolidate memories, helping us recover and remember. Our circadian rhythm keeps our sleep-wake cycle on a 24-hour loop, guided by light, melatonin, and the brain's hypothalamus. Sleep comes in two main types: non-REM sleep, which ranges from light to deep restorative stages, and REM sleep, where dreaming happens and the brain becomes highly active. Dream theories like activation synthesis and consolidation theory try to explain why we dream, from random brain activity to memory sorting. And when things go wrong, sleep disorders like insomnia, narcolepsy, sleep apnea, REM sleep behavior disorder, and sleepwalking can disrupt healthy sleep and daily functioning. All right, thanks for watching AP Psych Brainiacs. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss that next video. And as always, when in doubt, trust the data, not your gut. See you next time.